Assalamu alaikum, my name is Ismail Tradingwala and today I'm here with another AI session. Is trading a game or of property or an illusion of control? Today it is our topic basically and today we'll discuss it with ChatGPT. Hello ChatGPT, how are you and how are you doing? So today we have our topic is trading a gaming of probability and illusion of control.
Hey, I'm doing really well. Thanks for asking. And I love this topic. It's super interesting. So, yeah, trading definitely uses probability, but it also tricks us into feeling like we have more control than we really do. What angle were you thinking of exploring? Like psychological traps or just the math behind risk?
So how they control us when you say they can control us?
Great question. So, one way trading tricks us is through something called the illusion of control, where we believe our analysis, skills, or even a bit of luck gives us power over outcomes that are actually random. It's kind of like we overfit patterns, seeing signals when none exist, and that can make us take bigger risks than we should. So, even though we're crunching probabilities, we're still often at the mercy of pure chance.
You think that I show that how they you do their trap, how they set our the trap.
Yeah, exactly. So the trap often happens through things like overconfidence or confirmation bias. For example, a trader might spot a pattern, say a certain stock always rises after a specific news event, and then they act as if that pattern guarantees future success. In reality, the market is still just a random walk, but that belief in control keeps them doubling down. So by staying alert to cognitive biases and sticking to good risk management, people can avoid stepping into that trap.
So you think that people should often do something when they are good at?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's really about a disciplined mindset. Even when things are going well, it's crucial to step back and question yourself. Ask, am I just lucky or is there a genuine edge here? And if you're consistently profitable, that's great, but you still need a plan for when things turn. So, regular reflection, sticking to risk limits, and not being swayed by a few wins, that's really
So is risking your goal for it is good or not?
That's a really important point. Yeah, risk is a constant balancing act. If you overexpose yourself when things go well, you can quickly lose all those gains. So the golden rule is to define your risk per trade. Keep it consistent and never put so much on the line that one loss could devastate you. It's kind of like a slow burn strategy. Protect your capital and the growth can happen sustainably.
So how do people protect their capital?
Yeah, so protecting capital really comes down to a few core habits. First, you set a strict risk limit, like never risking more than 1 to 2% of your total capital per trade. Then you diversify, don't put all your eggs in one basket, and you use stop loss orders. So if a trade moves against you, you automatically exit at a predefined point. That way, you never let a single loss spiral out of control.
Okay, so when you say that
Yeah.
and by the way, what is the capital?
Good point. So capital is basically the total amount of money you have to invest or trade with. It's your starting pool, like the money in your account or the funds you've set aside for trading. Keeping that capital safe is crucial because once it's gone, you can't keep playing the game. So it's really the bedrock of your whole approach.
Okay, so you should then keep your capital alongside it good about do not take your money on more than the plan.
Exactly. Yeah, you stick to your plan. Don't get swayed by emotions or FOMO when you see a big opportunity. Your capital is your lifeline. So every trade should align with your predetermined risk rules. That way you stay steady, even if a big win or a big loss tries to tempt you off course.
This is not the main reason. The main reason is for the losing his emotion. But how to control emotions? There is no person I have seen in the world. they have control their emotions.
Ah, that's a key insight. Yeah, emotions are often the real downfall. The best way to handle them is to have a structured process, like a checklist or a trading plan you stick to no matter what. Also, taking breaks and stepping back when you feel overwhelmed can help. And honestly, a lot of successful traders also have a coach or a mentor, or someone who can keep them accountable and help them recognize when their emotions are driving them.
No, they're not controlling by themselves. The emotions are controlling them.
Exactly, yeah. And that's where self awareness is crucial. You have to recognize when emotions start to creep in, like fear after a loss or greed after a win, so you don't act impulsively. Some traders use things like meditation, journaling, or even just stepping away for a bit to let that initial emotional wave pass. So it's a constant process of catching yourself before you react.
Okay. So what is trading basic truly basing on probability or is it certain?
Ah, yeah. So trading is really all about probability, not certainty. Even when you have strong data or a solid strategy, there's always a range of outcomes, sometimes good, sometimes bad. So you're essentially stacking odds in your favor over time. The trick is managing risk so that even if a trade goes against you, you stay in the game and keep improving your edge.
So do traders accept rumors or secretly reject it?
Ah, that's a great question. So, most serious traders absolutely reject the idea of relying on rumors or secret tips. They focus on objective data like price action, volume, and economic indicators, because rumors are just noise. Once you let those seep in, it skews your judgment. So, the best approach is to stick to your process and not get lured by the hype.
Are you matching odds or trying to persuade outcomes?
Exactly. Yeah, when people chase a specific outcome, like a big win, they often ignore the long term odds. So instead of obsessing over a single trade, it's better to trust a probabilistic mindset. Think of it as a series of small bets where each one is just a step toward your bigger edge, not a guaranteed jackpot.
Why do traders act like they can control the market?
Yeah, and that's a really common misconception. The market is just too big and complex for any one person to control. It's a collective of millions of participants. So even though it can feel like you're making a big impact with a trade, you're just a tiny player in a huge system. Recognizing that keeps you humble and focused on probabilities, not grand illusions of control.
So they are just a joke.
Yeah, in a sense, they are, especially when you're chasing that idea of having total control over outcomes. The market's just a reflection of all those countless decisions. So the real edge is staying rational, not trying to outsmart the force that's bigger than any one of us. Exactly. Yeah. Control is really just a mental construct we use to reduce uncertainty. In reality, the market's driven by so many factors: human behavior, global events, sheer randomness. But the best we can do is manage risk, stay disciplined, and accept the uncertainty.
So they are just jokers.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit humbling, right? Once you accept that a lot is out of your hands, you can focus on what is in your control, like
Okay.
your
So
strategy, your
what
risk
is
limits.
so why does brain carry control in uncertain environment?
Ah, yeah, that's a really deep part of human psychology. Our brains are wired to seek patterns and to feel like we have some kind of control because uncertainty is super uncomfortable. So even when we can't predict outcomes, we try to construct narratives or routines to give ourselves a sense of security.
Oh. So do traders
Yeah, exactly. Traders do the same thing. They try to impose structure on uncertainty, like using models, backtesting, or risk parameters to give them a sense of order. But the key is staying flexible and aware, knowing that despite all your preparation, the market can still surprise you.
Okay, so do traders confuse analyzing with control?
Yeah, that's right. They don't control the market, but they do control how they analyze it through data, risk models, and patterns they trust. So it's all about using disciplined analysis as a framework, knowing you don't have perfect control, just a better grasp on the odds.
Why does more information create false confidence? False confidence.
Yeah, that's a fascinating part of human nature. When we get more information, especially if it confirms what we want to believe, our brain fills in the gaps and we feel more certain, even if it's just noise. That false confidence makes us think we have a handle on things, when in fact we're just overfitting a story to our limited info. So we have to stay humble, question our assumptions, and not let just a few data points blow up our confidence. Are education tools or psychologically crushed? Ah, that's a great idea. So, one of the best tools is a trading journal. You log every trade, why you took it, how you felt, and the outcome. That way, you see patterns in your decision making and catch when emotions or false confidence creep in. Also, things like probability analysis tools, backtesting software, and even just simple risk calculators, they all help keep you grounded in reality.
So do traders believe they are right instead of probabilities?
Yeah, exactly. And that's really natural. When we get caught up in a big win or a big loss, we start thinking this is the pattern, this is the edge, and we forget that the market is still just probabilities. So the trick is to constantly recalibrate, take a step back, test against your overall strategy, and remember that one outcome doesn't define your entire skill set.
Do traders understand losing is a part of the game?
Exactly. And once you accept that losing is just part of the game, like a normal cost of doing business, you don't take it personally. You just treat each trade as one small piece in a bigger probabilistic journey. And that mindset keeps you balanced even when things don't go your way.
Do traders understand why is uncertain so uncomfortable?
Yeah, absolutely. Uncertainty is just really unsettling for us as humans. Our brains are wired to crave certainty. So when we face ambiguity, we feel out of control. That's why we often try to force a narrative, because a story, even if it's false, feels safer than sitting in uncertainty.
So are traders making decisions on chasing certain things?
Yeah, exactly. A lot of times traders will chase certainty, like trying to find a sure thing or acting on a single piece of news, because it feels like a shortcut to confidence. But that often leads them away from their probability based approach, and that's where the risk really creeps in. So sticking to the process, even when it's uncertain, is what keeps them sane in the long run.
So do you think probability or outcomes?
Exactly. So probability is really just a way of quantifying the range of possible outcomes. Instead of focusing on a single right answer, traders look at odds. What's the likelihood of this scenario? What's the downside? What's the upside? By staying grounded in probabilities, they avoid falling into the trap of just chasing that right certainty.
So is risk management the only real reason control?
Yeah, exactly. Risk management is really the closest thing traders have to real control. It doesn't eliminate uncertainty, but it keeps them from being wiped out by it. So they set stop losses, position sizing, and all those guardrails, which don't control the outcome, but do keep them from going off the rails if things go wrong.
Do traders over leverage because of poor confidence?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Overconfidence can push traders to ignore their risk rules. They might take bigger positions, widen their stops, or just think they're immune to losses. And that's when the danger really ramps up, because the market doesn't care how confident you feel. So sticking to those risk boundaries is crucial, even when you feel on top of the world.
So why do losses feel personal?
Ah, that's a really human thing, right? Losing just hits differently because it feels like a personal failure. We tie our ego to it. But the truth is, the market doesn't care about us as individuals. So the best traders treat losses as just data. They analyze them, learn from them, and don't let them define their worth or their next move.
Are you writing or calculating odds?
Yeah, exactly. So odds are really just another way of quantifying uncertainty. They help you keep a level head by reminding you that every outcome is just a probability, not a guarantee. So when you calculate odds, whether it's from historical data or risk assessments, you're just staying anchored in reality and giving yourself a clearer picture of what's likely to happen.
So why do traders repeat losing behavior?
Yeah, so the key is to build a ritual around reflection and acceptance. After every loss, instead of beating yourself up, you review what happened. Was it a bad decision, just bad luck, or a misread of the market? Then you adjust your process, note your identity, and you keep going, knowing that every loss is just part of the long term path, not a personal verdict.
Do traders adjust this strategy on to based on their emotions?
Yeah, a lot of them do, unfortunately. When emotions get high, whether it's fear after a loss or greed after a win, traders often tweak or abandon a well tested strategy just to chase that next win. But that's exactly when you drift off course. So the best traders stick to their plan, even when it feels uncomfortable.
Do, why does a winning streak increase reckless?
Yeah, that's really common. After a big win, there's a surge of confidence, sometimes even a rush of dopamine, and that can trick you into thinking you're invincible. So you start taking bigger risks, ignoring your rules, and that's when you can give all that profit back. So the best defense is staying grounded. Treat every trade like a separate calculated step, no matter how you feel.
So are traders reacting or exciting a plan?
Yeah, exactly. In that moment, it's like they're swept up by the emotion. So instead of sticking to the plan, they react impulsively. And that's when the discipline falls apart. So the traders who really succeed are the ones who've practiced staying calm and sticking to their rules, no matter how big the excitement or fear gets.
Do habits override logic in trading?
Yeah, exactly. That's really common. Emotions, especially things like fear or greed, can totally override rational analysis. And when that happens, people make decisions in the heat of the moment, chasing losses over trading. So the best defense is really building habits that keep you grounded, like always taking a breath, reviewing your rules, and not letting a single trade dictate your future steps.
So can market ever be controlled by an individual?
Yeah, that's the key truth. It really can't. The market is this massive decentralized system driven by countless participants with different motives. So no single person or even group can fully control it. What you can control is your own behavior and your risk, your strategy, and how you respond. So that's where the real power lies.
So is marketing random or just a complex thing?
Ah, yeah, that's a subtle distinction. The market isn't purely random, it's complex. There are patterns, behaviors, and underlying forces, but it's also too dynamic and full of chaos to be predicted perfectly. So it's this mix, structured by probabilities, but driven by a huge web of human and economic factors.
So why do traders try to outsmart the market?
Yeah, exactly. And that's often where people get into trouble when they start thinking they can outsmart all that complexity. Truth is, even the best traders just try to align with the probabilities, not fight the market. So humility and a solid risk plan are usually the best defense.
Do pattern guide outcomes?
They do help, but only in a probabilistic sense. Patterns can give you a clue about what might happen next, but they don't guarantee anything. The market's always evolving, so a pattern might work sometimes, but it could fail just as easily. So you respect the pattern, but you stay humble and adaptable, knowing it's just one piece of the puzzle.
So are traders interrupt noise as a signal?
Yeah, exactly. And that's where things get risky. A lot of traders see random noise, just day to day fluctuations, and they interpret it as a meaningful signal. That's how biases form. So the best traders keep a critical eye. They filter out the noise, stick to their data, and only act when there's a solid signal, not just a guess.
How does fear destroy possibility thinking?
Yeah, fear really distorts that rational framework. When we're afraid, like after a loss or during a big drawdown, we stop thinking in probabilities. Instead, we think, I have to win this bet now. We take bigger risks to abandon logic. So fear narrows our focus and it blends us to the long term probability thinking we really need.
So thank you, it was all for today. Bye bye.